Okay, want to round up the week. I'm gonna take a little bit of R&R time after today. So just want to cover off the ETH trade and a bit of a discussion on thought process, why it was taken, what the thoughts were behind it. So I'll use the range of screenshots that were posted in the Market Thoughts channel. The first thing to say is, I believe that ETH is strong right now. So I don't care about narrative. I don't care what people think is going to happen to the market. I don't care what Twitter thinks is going to happen to the market. It's all irrelevant bullshit to me. To me, ETH looks like it's in a strong position. I think that ETH looks as though it has momentum for further upside, and that's what I'm really interested in playing into. So, whatever Twitter suggests is going to happen, dump, pump, sideways, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. I think this is a really solid setup that's well thought out, and for me, feels like a solid play. So the first thing is that I was interested in this position today. Once he's powered back above this level at 2080. Okay, that's the first trigger for me. So I mentioned this when we got to 2080. I said I want to see lower time frame cool off, and then I want to think about positioning into this. And the reason is you can see here, we've got a level around 1980, which is the daily support and resistance level. And what we've got there is an area on ETH that we would expect to hold above. Right? ETH was very strong in getting above that level, had a very strong reaction to that level and got back above, and we would expect it to stay above. But while it's above that level, there's no reason for me to be overly bearish on ETH. Right? It's above a key support and resistance level. It's above it, so therefore I'm bullish about ETH right now. Right? And again, we keep the bullishness in context. We're not saying all-time highs next week. We're just talking about within the trade parameters that I want to take, that I feel bullish on the potential for more upside. So what we've got here is, just that important level that we had on ETH. It was the breakdown level here. Okay, strong, significant breakdown, very clear in the candle here, and a few hours of consolidation underneath before attempting to get back above. And a really strong candle. So as I said, it sort of ignited my interest in trying to get into the position here and just make sure I'm not missing any of the screenshots in here. So what I also did was I took a look at this on the 4 hour. And what this is an addition of a level, a 4 hour level in here. So we know we've got the daily support and resistance here, but we can also see on the 4 hour that this level just above us, right, 2020, was very, very important here. And actually, if we look at this in terms of a more bullish structure instead of a bearish one, we can see that this is actually a really solid retest here, and that we would expect continuation to happen as a result of that. Again, keeping in mind that what we've seen from the lows has been very, very strong. Now, we've always had the concern about this level here around the 1900s. So we have got this untested level around the 1900s that, is still there and still present. But for now, we'll work with the levels that we're responding to and holding. So 4 hour here, sell off, touches into this level, holds above the daily support and resistance, but it's around the same vicinity, right? So it's around the same area. So I'm sort of happy with that as an outcome. It doesn't matter if it, holds $20 above it, it's fine. 4 hour looks relatively clean across this level here. So nice mix. And then we'll dive into the lower time frame stuff. Now on the lower time frame, this is that hourly level. Right, this is this hourly level here, but just on the 15-minute time frame. And basically what I was looking for here is just a retest of this level now from above. So if we're breaking back above this level that we deem to be key, then we, can look for a retest play, which is what we started doing. So what we said was, lower time frame, this has been a very aggressive push up from ETH. It's achieved something significant in breaking through a resistance region. And therefore, as a part of the lower time frame cooling off period, we can maybe expect a retest back down at this level. Okay, so a retest back into this key area here. And this is where we started to see that price action moving back down towards the kind of the key levels down here in this hourly region that we can see represented on lower time frame pretty well with the rejection here, the sweep of the lows here in this candle, and then the movement back up and clear price action taking us back through the level. And so what we can see obviously from here into the current chart is pretty much exactly what we got. Okay, we got that movement down, got that breakdown here. We had some consolidation underneath this sort of cluster that we had as support on lower time frame that we broke up. So, you know, overall, just a really nice play to kind of kick things off really for ETH. Moved perfectly in line with kind of what I was thinking here. Now, the other image that I want to cover, and I should have it up here. Let me grab it quickly, because I think this is really key in terms of how I structured the position. Alright, I want to be able to talk through this and give you my thoughts on it, and why it's important to me. Okay, so 15-minute again, and this is what we're looking at here. And we'll mark out some of the stuff on here so we can go back to it. Okay, so what I was looking for is essentially that move down, okay, and then the recovery. And obviously that's what we experience, which is great. Now, the thought process around this here, 50% entries, right? We essentially actually split this into 3. And the reason is that we actually had a very aggressive buy up here on the first touch into this area. And so I took the first entry there. When I saw the reaction to this level, I took the first entry. What I'm looking for this, okay, is 50% exposure on something that comes back down into a retest level, and then 50% exposure when it passes the original high that it makes. Okay, so you can see that mapped out here. What I was looking for is 50% once we touch the 2080 region. Okay, and actually it bounced a lot quicker, and you guys know I use market entries, and so for me that catches me out a little. I lose a tiny bit of value there. And then 50% once we make a new high. And then making a new high is very important, because once we've made a new high, that's about as strong evidence as I can get for the support holding, right? So we see on this, we get our retests down here, we hold, we power up through this level, we create a fresh high. Alright, so we take our position down here on the retest. We don't want to go too big, because this can still do this, right? It can still do this, and if it does do this, then obviously we want to manage the amount of downside kind of risk to us. And only having 50% of a position is a very good way of doing that. Then what we're doing is we're taking, once we get the strength, once we can see that it wants to bounce, we can take our remaining 50% of our position. It's just a very simple play, okay, based on a number of just support and resistance levels and the interaction with them. That's simply what we're looking at here. There's nothing complicated about it. It is simply a support and resistance play, mixing in a couple of time frames, looking for that confluence across a couple of time frames, and acting accordingly. That's all we're doing. So this is position, I feel as though, you know, if we look at the original plan here, I feel as though the original plan was executed very well. I feel as though the price action pretty much perfectly played out in line with, aligned with this original discussion point. And we've managed a really good position. Now target wise, you can see I'm being hyper aggressive when we zoom out here. You can see I'm being really aggressive into this. So the reason I'm being aggressive into this is because higher time frame, the 4-hour RSI is above 50, 12-hour above 50, and I'm taking the expectation that ETH tries to push through the 50 level here. May or may not happen, but we'll hold on to that thought process for now, because we don't know. So what we're looking at is a continuation here. Now we know we've already swept the highs here. We know we've now retested an important level down below on the 4-hour at 2000. And now I would expect us to try and continue higher. Now this take profit level is set literally above the high here. So it's set just above this high. Now what I will be doing is probably taking off 50% of the position as we travel towards 2400, if we travel towards 2400. Right, I'm going to take off some of the position there. But I really want this to be a higher time frame play, that it's seeking out the next level for me in terms of areas to attack for where stops reside. And this area here is completely naked completely unchallenged area of highs up here. Okay, we had this original cluster that was taken out here, but now we've just got this whole region. All right, and it's this set of highs that I want to see taken. And so I'm really going to try and push ETH as hard as possible. I think ETH on most time frames looks in really good shape. There's probably going to be some issues around 2185. There's probably going to be some issues around 2250. But again, as long as we hold on, good, we've established a really nice entry. Now, one option that we've got here, if we just shift this entry slightly now to mark out where our kind of true entry position is, which is around here on our average. Now we've got the option of tightening up our stop underneath here. Maybe even under these lows, because realistically we shouldn't see price falling back underneath these lows if our play is to be correct. Right, we shouldn't see price slipping back now and breaking the structure down. So this is the one thought, and I'm probably not going to do this today because I'd like to see a little bit more action develop. But we definitely have a thought where we can now shift our stop higher, squeeze that gap, and only have a $35 stop on ETH, which is pretty damn good for the way that we've crafted this position out. Okay, so I hope that's a solid enough explanation of the ETH position, thought process, reasons for taking it, and what my expectations are and why my expectations are what they are. Remember, it doesn't matter what Twitter says. All that matters is that we have a play out that is well thought of, well crafted, resides in the facts that the market has been telling us, which is reclaims of important levels for ETH. And we look at taking a play. We shoot our shot, right? So everybody have a wonderful weekend. I'll catch you afterwards.